Hey guys, Wayne here. I've been doing a lot of fishing lately, and so I thought I would show you guys my setup on my rigs. Now I usually go with 2 poles, and one's a Catfish Rig and one is a whatever rig. My standard bass, bluegill, trout, whatever hits them. That's what I want to catch. For my everyday whatever rig is a Zebco 33. These are fantastic casters. I love the way these things cast, and especially when you put a good weight on the end of them. You can get them basically wherever you want, almost as far as you want. They cast really well. Hopefully, when I go fishing this Saturday, I'll be able to show you how well this does cast. Now, that's a Zebco 33. They're relatively inexpensive. I got this one for 20 bucks, I believe. So that one's a really good everyday run-of-the-mill rig, and the line test on this, I believe, is 7 to 8 pounds. So that's perfect for what I want it to do. What I've got, this one is a Zebco. This is a Zebco 404. This is a good sturdy reel, and it's got a good 15-pound test. So this here is great for catfish, but it also works if you wanted to do it with bluegill, whatever. You could set it up for anything you wanted. But I love the way that this reel, how strong this reel is and the way it casts. I love the Zebcos. Now, a lot of people ask me, why don't you use open face reels? I don't like them. I just don't like them. I love these type. Closed face, to me, that's the ones I like. That's the ones I'm comfortable with, and I can catch fish with them. So that is my rods and reels. These are just some basic rods. Ain't nothing fancy, but it's really not the rod that makes a huge difference. It's the reel. Get yourself a good reel and you'll be happy for a long time. Let's go inside now, and I'll show you how I set up my hooks, how I set up my rigs and tie my knots and all that good stuff. So I'll see you inside in here in just a minute. Okay, so the first rig I'm going to set up is my Catfish Rig. And what I'm going to be doing is showing you just how I do it. This is not an all-inclusive way of doing it. Everybody has their own technique and their own way, and this is the way that I like. This is the way that works for me. So hopefully you can see this along that brown towel there. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up. So what we're going to do first is put our weight on the end of the line. This is the end of the line, and that's where I'm going to put my weight. Now, there's all kinds of sinkers to choose from. You've got the oval sinkers. This one here is a Hoss. This is what I would use if I was fishing in the river, the Ohio River. It's got a really mighty current to it. And the heavier the weight is, the better, because you're not really casting so much when you're in the river, because I usually always went in a boat, and you kind of just let it drop and let the current take it. And the reason you want a heavy sinker is so it's not bouncing across the bottom. This is a split shot. Everybody should be familiar with a split shot. Probably, I don't even know how much it weighs. It's not much. It weighs so little that it probably almost floats. But they're good for jigs, and they're good for if you're fishing with, if you had a bass worm like that, and he was going to put it on the end of your rig. Just something to give it some weight to let it jig. But you can also use it in like the strip mines like we do. Just depends on what you want. And then I've got here this number 2 half-ounce flat weight. These are my favorite. These are the ones that I like to use. It may be a little too excessive for the strip mines or the creeks or something like that. But I like it because it helps me to cast farther. When you're fishing on the lake shore, it helps me to cast farther. And that's what I like. I like to be able to get these into a bunch of different places that I might not be able to if I would use a split shot or a lighter sinker. So this is the one we're going to use today. Now, this knot that I'm going to do is, I guess they call it a fisherman's knot, or it's just a basic knot that I learned that always worked really well for me. I'm going to take out as probably about 6 or 7 inches. I'm going to fold it in half right here. Just like that. I hope you can see this okay. And then I'm going to take the whole of the weight and I'm going to just feed that right through that hole. And I'm going to take this whole piece of line. Now this is doubled up. I'm going to take this whole piece of line and I'm just going to do basically what you would call a granny knot. Just kind of take that whole doubled piece of line, do a granny knot, tighten it up, and then we're going to take that end, we're going to open that loop up just like that. We're going to shove the weight through the loop. We're going to grab a hold of the other piece of line and we're just going to tighten it up. And that makes a really good, strong knot. And then we're going to take that excess. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it in the camera as much as possible. This is difficult for me. And take that excess, snip it off. And there's the end of our line. A really good, sturdy knot. So, I like to put the sinker on the end of the line. Some people don't. But the reason I like to do that is because the sinker will sit on the lake shore like that. And then the hook's going to be up here where my finger's at. So it'll be up off the bottom. But first, we need to put a swivel on. So since this is going to be a catfish rig, I have got a little bit bigger of a swivel than what I normally use for bass or bluegill. Let me show you this one first. That one there is my catfish swivel that I like to use. It's got a little bit bigger eye. And this swivel is what I like to use for bluegill and bass and stuff like that. So it's a little bit smaller. So what we're going to do here is basically the same knot that we did for the sinker. We're going to just come up, I'd say about, it depends on how deep you want to fish, how high off the bottom you want your hook. So what we're going to do, I'm going to say that's about 7 inches. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold it in half. We're going to take that end, put it through the eye of the swivel. We're going to try anyway. Just like so. We're going to do a granny knot. We're going to take that loop, take the swivel through the loop, take the end, and pull tight. Now these swivels, the line likes to get caught right there in the swivel. So you just want to be careful. Tighten that up. Okay, and there's your swivel on the same nice knot as you did the sinker. Okay, then all we have to do is add a hook. So let me get a hook. I'm not sure what size this hook is, but this is a nice big hook for a cat. Like that. Now, just open up the swivel, put the hook right on the swivel, and there you have it. Put your bait there, and what that'll do is the weight will be down there on the bottom, and then that'll be raised up off the bottom a little bit. So that's how I like to do catfish. So let me get my other rig out and I'll show you how I set up for bluegill. Okay, so I did away with the brown towel because this line is red. So I hope you can see this okay. And I'm going to go with this oval sinker, not because it's the one I want to use, but because I want to show you that you can do this with these type of sinkers. It doesn't have an eye on the top. It actually has a hole that goes all the way through the lead. So what we want to do is do it the same way. I want to show you that this way could actually work with these oval sinkers as well. So I want to go up about 6 or 7 inches Just gives you enough to make the knot, and you want to fold it in half just like that, just like the other one. Now, yes, I am making two bottom fishing rigs, one for bass, or one for bluegill, or bass, if a bass wants to hit it, but one for bluegill and one for catfish, where we go out to the strip mines. You never guess it, but we're catching bluegill off the bottom. We've tried floats, or bobbers, or whatever you want to call them, and the float fishing is just not that great out there, so we started fishing off the bottom, and wouldn't you know it, we're getting bluegill, and bluegill's good eating. So I'm making a bottom fishing rig for bluegill as well. There's just a few differences. The weight always goes on the bottom if I'm making any kind of bottom fishing. I always put the weight on the bottom, the end of the line. So that goes through there just like that. You can see that it's doubled up. Grab the loop, make what I call a granny knot. And then take that loop, take it through, tighten, and there you have yourself a tied sinker. Snip off the excess, and there you go. So now we want to put a swivel, and I'm going to use this smaller swivel just like that. So we're going to come up probably another, 6 or 7 inches, just like we did for the catfish rig. We're going to do the same kind of knot. If I can get it through the hole. My eyes are crossing. There we go. Okay. So we've got that. We're going to make a granny knot with that whole doubled up line. Just like so. And then run it through the loop. Pull it tight. And boom goes the dynamite. Open the swivel. And this is the size hook I'm using for bluegill. Real small, real nice, perfect size. And right through the swivel. Get it untangled here, and there you go. That's what I use. Now, some of you might be thinking, why do you put the hook directly on the swivel? Why wouldn't you put a leader off of it? Well, I'm not a big fan of that, but you can do that. But in order to make a leader, we're going to use a different knot. So, let me show you how I would do a leader if I was going to be the one doing it. Okay, so what we're going to do is get us a snell knot here. And what we're going to do is take the end of the line and put it through the eye of the hook and just kind of lay it down along the shank of the hook there, just like that. I hope you can see this. My camera is something else. Of course, it helps if you don't drop it. Then we're going to take this end, we're going to wrap around the shank with the line about 6 times. And then we're going to take the end up here, run it through the eye, and then we're going to pull tight without hooking ourselves. And there's your basic snell. And then snip off the excess, if there is any. Those scissors are horrible. I'm going to use my knife. There. That's good and strong. That's a good strong knot right there. It's a perfect knot for a leader. And then what you do is attach this end to your swivel. And I've already put that rig up. But you would attach this end to your swivel. Now, if you're going to do that, I would recommend a 3-way swivel, which I don't have. All I have are these here. But if you had a 3-way swivel, it would look like this. It would look like this end here, but it would have another one coming off of it. So you'd have this one going to your weight, this one going to your main line, and this one going to your leader. And then you would just attach that to that end, and then you would have a leader coming out. Now, I don't use a leader. I like the way that my rig is set up. It works just fine for me, but hey, you need to do what works good for you. So that is how we do that. Those are the basic knots that I use. Let me show you now how I bait a hook, because a lot of people do that differently too. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so this is my bluegill rig, or bass, or whatever wants to hit it. And I've got just some Nightcrawlers here. These Nightcrawlers I got at Walmart, of all places. And I got them last Saturday, and here it is Wednesday, and they're still doing great. Keep them in the refrigerator and they'll do fine. Now when you're fishing with a small hook like this, there's really no need in putting an entire worm on that small hook, because all it's going to do is bunch up and you're wasting your bait. So what I like to do, and this may sound morbid, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of haters out there, but this is what I like to do. I always start with the tail end, just like that. I take my tackle box scissors and I snip off the tail end. Now you have a perfectly sized Nightcrawler fragment that you can put right on your hook. So then what I like to do is feed the end that I cut right onto the hook. Take it all the way around, just running that hook right through the inside of the Nightcrawler. My fingers will cooperate with me. And then kind of get it into a hook shape. Then I like to just poke that hook out just a little bit, right by the barb. And that way, then they come up, they'll see that wiggling, they'll come up and grab it and hit it. So that right there is how I like to bait my hooks. Some guys will take them and they'll just start hooking. Just hooking around. If it works for you, that's fine. This is not the right way to do it. This is my way to do it. But I'm just showing you guys how I do it. So, that right there to me would work perfectly, especially for bluegill. Now, if I was fishing for catfish, I would put probably a whole worm on the hook, and I would make it a lot bigger. This right here, I think that'll work perfectly. Now, some people don't like to poke that out of the barb, but if you don't, you can hook it right there, and they'll come up and they'll bite it. So that is how I bait my hook for bluegill, bass, whatever hits it. I'm not picky. As long as it'll eat, I want to catch it. I caught a few turtle a couple Saturdays ago, very small snappers and one painter turtle, and that's what I caught it on right there. Just an standard old Nightcrawler. Okay, so that is how I bait my hook for bluegill, bass, and whatever else decides to hit it. Okay, for catfish, there's dozens of baits that you could use. What I've got here is chicken liver. You can use homemade dough bait. You can use cut bait. You can use hot dogs. I've heard of people using Vienna sausages, Vienna wieners. If I don't have like my homemade dough balls or anything like that, I like liver. Liver, to me, is probably one of the best catfish baits that you can get. And I think I got this at Walmart for $1.68 or something. And yeah, the biggest problem you have is keeping it on the hook. Now, I can put some in some cheesecloth that I always keep in my tackle box. I've used pantyhose. I've used twine, where you kind of take the liver and you kind of roll it in on itself, and then you take that twine and then you basically sew it. You sew it into the liver, and you just wrap it around, and it just makes a nice little chunk here, which helps stay on the hook. Now, if you can get it in this gristle right here, get you a good piece with this gristle, and that will help you keep it on the hook as well. But I'm going to stop playing in that because I'm going to use that this Saturday up at the strip mines, try to get us some catfish. So that is what I use for catfish. My all-inclusive bait for catfish is definitely chicken livers. Like I said, there's all kinds of stuff you can use. I've heard people using dog food. So there's all kinds of stuff you can use, but chicken livers, to me, that would be the number one thing if you can find a way to keep them on the hook. Alright guys, well there you have it. That's how I set up my fishing rigs. Like I said, it's not the right way to do it, it's just how I do it, and it works for me. This is just, I'm just a hill jack from the hills of southern Ohio, and this is what I like to use in the strip mines. Hopefully I'll be able to take you along with me when I go fishing Saturday to the strip mines. I want to be able to show you guys how beautiful it is up there. And, it's part of Wayne National Forest, so it's really pristine, really beautiful, and peaceful. And there's a lot of good things to look at. There's a lot of wildlife, turkey, deer, turtles, fish. So I want to take you guys along with me. Hopefully I'll catch some fish, but it's about to hit our dog days heat wave. It's going to be pretty hot this week. So I don't know if they're going to bite, but we're going to give it a try. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it made sense to you, and I hope I was able to show you what I needed to show you at that angle on the camera. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.